Okay, have you ever stopped to wonder why you can pretty much always get your hands on a can of Coke no matter where you are, but trying to snag a ticket to a big championship game feels, well, impossible? Or how about this? Why are digital games basically infinite, but finding fresh strawberries in the middle of winter is a whole different story? Yeah, there's a really cool economic principle behind all of this, so let's dive in.
So, you've got two kinds of products in the world, right? On one side, you have the stuff that just seems to be everywhere. Think about your favorite soft drink or a game you can download in seconds. If a million more people suddenly decide they want it tomorrow, it's no big deal. The supply can totally handle it. But then, on the other side, you have things that are super limited. No matter how much you're willing to pay, a stadium only has so many seats. Period.
So, what's the deal here? What's this invisible force that separates the things we can always get from the things that are so frustratingly hard to find? Well, it all comes down to a concept that's all about one thing: flexibility. And that concept has a name: price elasticity of supply. We'll just call it PES. Honestly, this is the key that unlocks the entire mystery. Okay, so here's the official textbook definition for you. PES is all about measuring how much the supply of something changes when the price of that something changes. It really is all about responsiveness. But let's ditch the textbook talk for a second. The absolute best way to think about PES is as a flexibility score. That's it. If you got a high score, it means you, as a supplier, can ramp up production in a snap when prices go up. A low score, well, it means you're kind of stuck. You can't easily change how much you're making, no matter what the price does. All right, so how do we actually calculate this flexibility score? It sounds complicated, but I promise you it's not. Let's just take a quick peek at the formula. See? It's really simple. You just take the percentage change in how much stuff is supplied and divide it by the percentage change in the price. It's just a ratio that compares how much supply reacted to the price change that caused it. Let's make this real with a quick example. Let's talk about beans. Imagine the price of beans jumps up by 10%. Now, in response, farmers work hard, and they manage to increase the supply, but only by 5%. So we take that 5% change in supply and divide it by that 10% change in price. You run the numbers, and what do you get? A nice, simple 0.5. But okay, what does 0.5 actually tell us? Well, here's the most important part. The magic number is 1. Any score below 1 means the supply is what we call inelastic. For our beans, the supply didn't change as much as the price did. It just wasn't very flexible. So this breaks it down into two big buckets. If your score is greater than 1, supply is elastic, super responsive. Think of that soda factory just churning out more cans. But if the score is less than 1, it's inelastic, unresponsive. Think about our fresh fruit. You can't just make it grow faster. It needs a whole season. Now for the fun part, the extreme cases. If your score is 0, boom, perfectly inelastic. Supply is totally fixed. Those stadium seats are a perfect example. If the score is exactly 1, it's this theoretical thing called unitarily elastic. Price and supply change by the exact same amount. And then, at the other end of the spectrum, you have a score of infinity. That's perfectly elastic. The supply is basically limitless at a certain price. That last one, perfectly elastic, sounds kind of impossible, right? But think about it. Digital goods are the perfect example. Take a game like Angry Birds. After they made it once, the cost to sell one more copy is basically nothing. They can sell millions, even billions of copies, and the supply never runs out. It is, for all intents and purposes, infinite. So, we get what elasticity is, and we know how to put a number on it. But what actually makes something flexible or rigid to begin with? Well, it really just boils down to 5 main things. Here they are, the big 5. It's all about questions like, does the factory have extra machines just sitting around? How much finished product is already sitting in a warehouse? How many other people are making the same thing? How easily can you switch from making one thing to another? And maybe the biggest one of all, how much time do you have? And that time factor, it is a huge deal. This quote really says it all. In the short run, you're kind of stuck with what you've got. A farmer can't magically grow more strawberries overnight. But give them a year or two, the long run, and suddenly they can buy more land, plant more seeds. They can adjust. Supply almost always gets more flexible, more elastic, the more time you have. Okay, so this is all really interesting theory, but why should you actually care? Well, this is where it gets real, because understanding pests has massive real-world consequences, not just for businesses, but for entire governments. If you're running a business, being flexible is like a superpower. It's a huge competitive edge. And the smartest companies, they don't just hope for it. They build it in. They'll keep some factory space free on purpose, they'll hold on to extra inventory, they'll invest in new tech, and they'll train their employees to do multiple jobs so they can pivot on a dime. Because at the end of the day, having a high PES, a high flexibility score, means your company is nimble. You can react instantly to what customers want. When demand spikes, you can meet it. And that means more sales, more revenue, and more profit. It's that simple. And this goes way beyond just companies. Governments are constantly thinking about this stuff. Take housing. The supply of new houses is really inelastic. It takes a long time to build them. So when demand goes up, what happens? Prices go through the roof, creating huge social problems. Or think about worker shortages. The supply of, say, skilled nurses can be inelastic. So governments might look at things like immigration policy to help make that labor supply more flexible. So there you have it. Now you're in on the secret. The next time you see that frustrating sold out sign, or you marvel at how something is always on the shelf, you'll know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. So I'll just leave you with this thought. Start looking at the world through this new lens. Which things around you are flexible and which are rigid? And what does that tell you about their price, their availability, and maybe even their future?